One of the things that I get called for a good deal is database performance problem. Typically, it's slowness in a database. That can be caused by a number of different things, and it can be temporarily solved in a number of different ways, right? Some folks will say it's important to regularly just restart your SQL Server because that helps to clean it out, right? We've all heard the old story of, well, if your computer's not working, just try turning it off and turning it back on again. And sometimes that will solve a performance problem temporarily because of the way that your queries or your stored procedures are being cached. SQL Server tries to remember the last time the way that it executed a query, right? And instead of when that query is run again, having to recompute it all, it just looks into the cache and says, I'm going to do it that way again. And occasionally that will turn into a situation where the cache ages out and you need to do that recalculation again. But if you're doing it with the wrong values, right, because your data set is a little bit disparate, right, in terms of its distribution of the data. And so you can end up with something that works really, really well for that particular set of query parameters, but the next person who runs one, looking at a different set of data, will get a very different result in terms of performance from the system, right? And you turning the server off and then on again, you wipe out that cache, and so problem solved, right? But what are you costing yourselves in terms of interruptions with customers or internal folks, right? Or externally, right? If you're having to restart your server in order to solve a production performance problem, and you're a publicly traded company, or you offer an application publicly that a lot of people use, that's not going to be very good reputationally, right? So turning your server off and then on again, or just suffering through, okay, every day at noon, we know we have a performance problem. It's just what we've got to deal with, right? Because at lunchtime, everybody decides to go look up what the weather is, or whether anyone won the lottery this evening, whatever it is that they're doing on their apps and their phones that causes issues. What we can do is we can look at those problems and we can dig down and find the root cause of them, right? And some of them, will be unsolvable without a technology investment. Sometimes you will be throwing some hardware at the problem in order to solve it. But oftentimes we can adjust the way that queries are written, or we can adjust the frequency that maintenance is done, or we can add indexes, right, that will improve the ongoing performance of your database query. We have several tools at our disposal to try to solve problems and make sure that your server isn't overloaded and make sure that you can get the performance that you need without interruptions.